Good afternoon, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. On this, it is, what's today? Today is October 3rd. I believe it's Mean Girls Day. No, tomorrow is, I'm sorry. October 4th. Regardless, not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Agatha All Along. Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Just simply Agatha, or any of the other 55 titles that they've floated for this, this show. And I have to say, my complaints last week about the way they handled Mrs. Hart, which is not her real name, I think are made worse. And again, this has been a common issue with this show, where it's like, there are solid character motivations that are just below the surface, that I think if everyone was just kind of a little more upfront about, you would still get the same level of distrust within the Coven, but you also get this idea of, like, you would get more of a sense of, what's it called? You would get less, well, why are we wasting so much time doing it this way? And in this case, we have, we talked about teen and teen's identity, and it's like, who is teen? What does teen want? Why is teen, do it? Like, what is teen's goal in all of this? Like, that's something that I've been mentioning as an issue that I have with this show for a little bit now. And here we have a similar issue. Mrs. Hart was not really a witch. She was only brought on because they needed a green witch for the Coven. And presumably, since every witch in this Coven is going to have a task attributed to them, this probably means that, she wouldn't have been much help when they got to the green witch task anyway. In the way that here we had the red witch task, and in the first one we had the potions witch task. And the question I have is, why do that when the answer is we're bringing in Rio anyway? Why waste all that time? Why waste, what should have just been, okay, and we're going to bring Rio with us. And it's not like Rio doesn't have motivation, because Rio comes here, she gets summoned to Witch's Road, and she's just kind of like, alright, yeah, I'll help, because I want to be able to kill you when you're at full power. Like, that's what I want. Like, it's not enough for me to just kill you. I want to kill you when you're at full power. Like, that way I can truly beat you. And that is something that is, engaging, I think. And it's something that, like, she's so deranged, she's willing to risk her own life just to get this one over on, just get this one over on Agatha. Like, that's something that endears me to the character. Because, like, here, it's like, she doesn't really get a choice, so she kind of just comes and is like, alright, I'm here now. Let's go. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's an odd choice. And then it's like, I feel like if you're like, or if she's like, look, let's sabotage her on the way to getting to the end. If she dies, she dies, and that works out for me anyway, then that's also just as interesting. I don't think that is necessarily a bad thing. I think that they need to reevaluate kind of what the plan is on this show. Because that's the thing, is that I like a lot of what they're doing. I love the dynamic between Joe Locke and, and the rest of the team, especially whenever he gets to deal with Agatha. And then it's like, I think too, it's like, based on the relationship as established between Rio and, between Rio and Agatha, I don't think it would be in Rio's I don't want to say best interest, but I don't think it makes sense for Rio's character to lie to Agatha about Teen being her son. Because that's at the end of the episode, she says to Agatha, she's like, Teen is not, he's not your son. She's very clear that he's not your son. And I've said it, I'll say it again, and I'll continue to say it. Teen is Tommy. That's who Teen is. And when we get to the end of this show, the question is going to be, why did we sit here and turn it into a secret? And the idea that the sigil gets lifted when it's no longer needed is an interesting thing. The question that I have about the sigil, and maybe that's what they're intending here, is who cast the sigil? Who was the one who cast it on him in the first place to keep him, because he clearly knows. Who cast it on him to keep him from telling anyone that he is really Tommy? And why? Because I don't think that is look, let's take what we have here so far, okay? And we're going to go into a little bit of spoiler territory because the Funko Pops did come out, and the Funko Pops did spoil this. So, spoilers for this. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You kick it at me if I spoil this. So, the Funko Pops have revealed that Rio is actually Lady Death. Lady Death being the one that Thanos, wipes out half the universe in the comics, Infinity Gauntlet, to try, because he's in love with Death. And, look, perhaps is the most, relatable Thanos has ever been is that he's a massive simp for Audrey Plaza? Yeah, probably. Would I say that that's probably a irrational thing to do for him? Maybe not. Maybe I understand them now. But the point is, that whole thing was just not to make that joke. But the whole thing is, if that's the case, I could see, Lady Death probably has a vested interest in bringing back the Scarlet Witch. But at the same time, again, we're getting into this issue. Why does it need to be kept a secret? Because and I said this week 1 or week 2, Wanda, it has power that Agatha wants. And that's kind of what makes her the bad guy. That's really the only thing that makes her the bad guy in WandaVision, is rather than just being oh, I'm here to stop you because the power of the Scarlet Witch is too much for you to handle, and it will destroy the world. She's no, I want that power and I want to control it. And considering that the Scarlet Witch is a harbinger of death, I think what's going to end up happening is this kid, Tommy, wants to bring Wanda back, and somehow he's alive. I feel like that's got something to do with Death too, and Death is going to be used as kind of like a chess game. We put Tommy on the field. Tommy's going to want to do it. Tommy's going to want to get Agatha's help. Agatha is going to not have her powers, so she's going to want to go on the Witch's Road. The Witch's Road has the power to do whatever they want, and that's how they're going to bring back Wanda. Because, again, Death likes Death. So, if that's the case, then that all kind of tracks. And I think the issue is, with this, I don't think you need the secret anywhere in here. I don't think you need the secret that he's actually Tommy to be kept from Wanda. Because I don't, not Wanda, from Agatha. Because I don't think Agatha would have held back. I don't think Agatha would have been well, you want to bring back the Scarlet Witch, so that's not a good idea. If she finds out Wanda's dead, I don't think that she's oh, good, so Wanda, well, that sucks, but, the Darkhold's destroyed, so the thing that the thing that she's, she traded her, that's the thing, too. She traded her son for the Darkhold. she traded her son for the Darkhold. If that's the case, then I don't think you need to make the case that she needs to be lied to or misled to get her to go down Witch's Road with this kid to try and resurrect the Scarlet Witch. She wants that power so much. And again, trading her son, her human son, to Mephisto for the Darkhold, I feel like is all we need to know about the character. And therein lies kind of my big issue with the show, where it's like, it's mysteries for mystery's sake. I think they're trying to capitalize on what made WandaVision kind of a flashpoint, but the issue with WandaVision and why WandaVision was so big, and we talked about this over the course of our rewatch, is WandaVision came out in 2021 while we were still kind of pseudo-lockdown. It was the first big franchise thing to come out since March of 2020. Because I don't think there was anything else even in the can. Like, this was definitely the first Marvel thing since Spider-Man. Like, but this was them being like, look, we are, this is something to talk about, something to look at. They handle that all very well. And one of the things that I'm kind of interested in is why they think that the solution is we need to make this kind of a, like, for lack of a better word, a kind of meme-y thing, where it's like we're trying to get it where people are going to talk about it, like a water cooler kind of show. But I think the issue is, too, it's like, it's not 2021 anymore, and I think a lot of people kind of fallen off with the Marvel Universe. So it's a weird situation to be in. And again, I would be very interested to see kind of where we are on sorry, there's a truck next to me. I don't know if it picks it up. I don't listen back. I just cut it quick while I'm on my lunch break. How does this all kind of fit together? It's kind of the question I have. Is Wanda, Wanda to be resurrected by the end of the show? That's a given. And then, how does that deal with everything? And again, let's go back to the theory that Wanda was meant to be the Phase 4, 5, and 6 bad guy before the before the Fox acquisition. We had Wanda get killed off. And again, similar to how we had Kang handled in Kang's first appearance. Very similar. She's the bad guy in the movie. She's there the whole time. She's a formidable threat. She gets defeated. That's not going to be the end of her. And there's a reason why we lead Phase 4 with WandaVision. I mean, it was supposed to be Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but WandaVision was the first thing that came out to introduce the concept of this heavier witchcraft and this heavier magic. Then you get Vision, who's resurrected. So Vision's out there. We're going to have Vision Quest as a show. But if this show is going to resurrect Wanda and put Wanda back in play for Secret Wars, Vision Quest is going to put Vision back. I think we need to have that moment where Vision has to be the one to make Wanda see the light. I think the issue with that is the issue with Vision being the one to be like, oh, Wanda's going to have to see the light and realize, oh shit, what have I done? Like, that is something that I think you can't squeeze into Secret Wars. This, again, would have had to be its own kind of Avengers event, and I feel like this is just kind of a disservice to the character. But look, I stand by the time we finish the show in a few weeks, Wanda will be back. We will have full Wanda back in the MCU. Because, as we know, I mean, there are very few characters that died and stayed dead. I think Tony Stark and Black Widow are the only two who, stayed dead. And weren't resurrected in some way. Because, Fury's died more times than I can count. Loki, Gamora. Well, I mean, technically Gamora stayed dead. It's just I guess on that token, Loki also stayed dead. Because I guess if we're going that definition, then I guess Tony Stark also is staying dead and not being resurrected. Yeah, because if we count Tony Stark as staying dead, then we have to count Loki as staying dead, and and what's her name as staying. I mean, either way, we don't know that. We know he's playing Doctor Doom. We don't know that he's playing a Tony Stark variant as Doctor Doom. And we know he's playing Victor Von Doom anyway, so it's not that. But either way, point stands. Like, there are very few characters who have kind of stayed dead in the MCU. And I think that, Wanda is kind of the outlier at this point where she's not resurrected yet. I think she's going to be resurrected by the end of this show. And again, why can't we just talk about it? And I loved Alice in this episode. That's the thing. I got so sidetracked on the broader MCU implications that Alice is great in this episode. She doesn't get enough. I don't know the actress's name, but she didn't get a lot of screen time in the first few episodes. But here, that she's kind of the focal point. And I think my one concern about this is going to be that each witch is going to have an episode about her having to use her special brand of magic to clear a puzzle. Or to clear a challenge, a trial, whatever the hell they're using for it. And my concern with that is, if that's the case, what is today? I don't know. If that's the case, and they're going to do that, my concern is once a witch has their episode about them, they're kind of just going to fall into the background as almost background set dressing. Like we saw with, I forgot the character's name, the Potions Witch, who had kind of the pseudo goop brand. She did, she had her episode last week, and then here she's got very little to do. Which is disappointing, and it's I hope that that's not the case going forward, especially considering each episode is meant to be some kind of character development for them. And then it's like, okay, well, we've dealt with our demons, bye, and they can't leave, so they're just kind of still there. But yeah, I think Mrs. Hart didn't have to die. Again, had they just been oh, and Rio, I need to bring you with me because the divination witch said so, and we are going to go down Witch's Road, and when we go down Witch's Road, we are going to face off against whatever's at the end of it, and we're all going to get more powerful or get whatever we want, and then I will get my power back, and we will have that fight that you always wanted. Boom. Done. And I'm curious, with this knowledge that she's playing Lady Death, what did Agatha do? And again, that's the other thing, is that it's what did Agatha do to Death incarnate that Death wants to get revenge? Because that's something really interesting. When you're dealing with these broad, abstract concepts where you have a physical embodiment of the concept of death, what could someone do to that would make them so incensed and so pissed off that the physical embodiment of death wants revenge? And that's kind of the question we're going to close on. But we'll wrap up there for today. Tomorrow we'll be talking about Salem's Lot, the new Stephen King adaptation, which I believe went on Max today. That'll be tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon. And we have Homegrown on Saturday, the documentary about January 6th. And violent extremism. So we have all that coming. Until our next episode, have a great rest of your week. Wait, my thing. Here it is.